The Caracal Enhanced F quick sight model. Let's check it out. Recently we did a review of the Caracal Enhanced F. This is a return to the US for the original Caracal C and the F model, which there have been a lot of enhancements made, and these kind of left the US market for a number of years and has now been reintroduced. One of the big things about this handgun is this super low bore axis. The slide just rides right over your hand. Now, we did a full review of the Enhanced F, but one thing that I did bring into that review was the quick sight version. This is also the Enhanced F. It has a very unique sighting system. When Caracal first got in touch with me, I was not really interested in checking this out. In fact, I agreed to it because I really wanted to get a hold of the original. I had some experience with the original Caracal and I really enjoyed shooting it. It just left a kind of an impression on me. When I first got the quick sight model and I put it in my hand, it really changed my mind. One of the things about this sight is it is so fast to pick up. The rear sight is right past the chamber. It's a very short sight distance to the front sight, which makes it really fast to pick up. This is a very fast acquisition to that sight, and that rear sight and the front sight line up very quickly. I can see a lot of advantages with this in a self-defense situation. You get out to distance, you're going to have a little bit of a difference, but really for close-up and personal, in most self-defense situations, this is going to be incredibly fast. So I wanted to do a full separate review of the quick sight model. We're going to check it out. We're going to look at the advantages and disadvantages of this type of sight system. Now, we really appreciate Caracal USA for sending the Caracal Enhanced F for this review. These originally came out of the United Arab Emirates, same country that has Dubai, but now these are made right here in the USA.
I like that sight.
All right, the Caracal Enhanced F quick sight model. Definitely different. Now, one thing we're going to do is analyze this sight system. I'm not saying it's for you or not. I think it's one of those things you need to take a look at and decide because it's definitely different. And one of the things about your standard sight system, just like with the original Caracal, and this is the Enhanced F, it's just got the basic sights, is that these sights have advantages. They're used by 90% of the gun, well, 99% of the guns out there. There have been some different guns that have come out with some optional sight differences, just kind of stretching the envelope a little bit. And honestly, again, like I said, I really didn't think that this was going to be much of anything. But there are some real strong merits to this sight system, and it may be for you. I really like it. I'm not necessarily one to change to this, but I could see carrying this, especially in a self-defense situation where, you know, most of your shots are definitely within that 25-yard range. The really standard sights give you a long sight radius. It allows you to line up your sight, but it puts it on two focal planes. So I'm looking here and I have a blurred out front, or I'm looking at the front and I have a blurred out rear. With the quick sight model, it is on one focal plane. When you look, you have the rear sight in focus and the front sight. It's kind of unique. I mean, it's not kind of, it's very unique. But what we're going to do is talk about the sight, and then we're going to look at a lot of the features. Again, we did a full review of the Enhanced F. Really, the only big difference is the sight system. But this may be the only video you see. They're made in Idaho, and these have newly come into the U.S. They had some issues at the beginning, and one was they weren't drop safe. And Caracal really went above board and purchased every firearm that was sold that people would return, and any accessories that went with it. So Caracal on their own is really a stand-up company. I think it really says a lot about Caracal in general. It is a 9mm striker fire pistol, has polymer frame. Now let's go ahead and make sure the gun's unloaded. We're going to drop our 18+1 magazine. You get 2 magazines. Then we're going to check the chamber. It is empty. There are additional 10-round magazines if you live in a state which has magazine restrictions. But this gives you a really high capacity. Insert really nice. One thing about the magazines too is it has sort of a spring here at the bottom, which is a little different, and this is the way you disassemble the magazine. But very well made. Insert's nice. The grip has a very nice texturing on it. It's not extreme. In fact, it has these pyramids kind of shapes on the back and on the front, a little bit of texturing here. Fits in the hand really nice, and it has this low beaver tail kind of recess where you can get your hand down into the frame, and yet it protects it from that low bore axis. Now, the low bore axis, that is one of the biggest things, and it is low. And one of the reasons that that is so important is that if you think about it this way, if I hold the gun way down here, when the gun fires, the slide is going to come back. I'm going to have less leverage on the contact between the frame and the slide. And so it's going to violently rise up. The higher up I can get to the slide, the less felt recoil, or at least muzzle rise. Slide's going to come back. One thing about the slide mass on this is it's been reduced to make it just lighter. And so it's going to give less weight reciprocating back over your hand. It's just physics, and it's the way it works, and this really gives it a really softer shooting feel to it, to be honest. And to compare it with the Glock, which is a fairly low bore axis, you know, it's not a whole lot lower, but the one thing about the Glock is it's more squared. And then of course the sight comes in as well. So a very low bore axis kind of reminds me of the Steyr M9, which I really like that bore axis as well. We have front and rear cocking serrations, and this is a QPQ coated black nitride, which is quench, polish, quench. It's a very durable finish, and it bakes into the metal. And the barrel is 4.1 inches in length. You have a loaded chamber indicator. You have a loaded striker indicator. So once we cock it, you'll see that little nub right in that hole, and when you pull the trigger, you'll notice that the striker comes out and then back in. And I'm going to hold it from the side so you can see it. And then the gun has been fired. But again, very low in the hand. In fact, it's kind of funny when you first bring it up, especially with the quick sight model, because that sight picture is out there. And so you have a focal plane of this area. It has serrations right here, so it gives it a good contrast, and then it just lines up with that white dot. Here on the back, we have a little bit of a claw, is what they call it, a tactical claw, and this allows for one-handed reloads on your belt, your boot, a table. And so it just cuts away, and there's a little area that actually has been cut out to make this just a little bit more recessed. Now with the original Caracal, and I'm going to show you how the sight kind of comes up, that rear sight, but not a whole lot as much as it looks. So we have this lined up. You'll see that that sight, the front sight, actually sticks up a little bit higher, and then it comes down a little bit right in this area. Still a very low bore axis. One of the things about this to me is it almost looks like a shark the way this comes up, almost like a dorsal fin. But it doesn't protrude too much, and it won't get in the way in a self-defense situation, in my opinion. Also, we have ambidextrous mag release, which is nice. One side slide release, which is minimal, similar to the Glock. We have a 3-slot Picatinny rail on the front, and the trigger safety just blocks the action of the trigger. And then when you pull the trigger, comes to a wall. There's a little bit of sponge right here, and then it comes to a definite wall, and then actually a crisp break, but there is some sponginess at the front. Reset right there. Not a super quick reset, but not a bad trigger overall. All right, let's take our Lyman trigger gauge, check the trigger pull weight. 4 pounds, 6.4 ounces. 4 pounds, 1.5 ounce. So this is under 4.5 pound trigger pull. But the main thing I really want to talk about and address is that quick sight. And you'll notice how deep it goes and it rises up. It goes into an angle. So it gets it really low and allows that front sight to remain right there on the slide. It is windage adjustable. Your rear sight obviously is fixed. But it just has a really quick look to it. Now there's no way for me to honestly demonstrate what I thought when I first picked this up. And you bring it up and it just gets right in there. I mean, it's a very short sight radius, but it's really fast to pick up. One thing we learned at the range is that up close shots, beautiful. Accuracy was good, and we're going to look at that as well. But out to really far distance, if you're getting out to 50 yards, you can get 100-yard shots. But it's going to be a lot more difficult to line that up than it would be a traditional sight system with, you know, your longer sight radius. Just gives you a little more to aim, just like with a rifle. If you're taking 50-yard shots or you're wanting to take 100-yard shots, I would definitely stick with the standard model. But if you want something that's really fast for a self-defense situation, it's really going to be hard to beat this. And I'll tell you, we were bringing it up really quickly. It was amazing how fast you picked up those sights. And as far as the size comparison, we have a Glock 19 Gen 5, just a touch longer in the slide length. And we have just a little bit of a length difference in the grip, 15 rounds, 18 rounds. So this is really falling in between your Glock 17 and your Glock 19, and yet it has a higher round capacity even than your Glock 17. Slide serrations are minimal up at the front. They are fairly deep. You can get that press check, but it does get a little close to the muzzle, but not too bad. Nice aggressive here. I mean, the slide configuration is very minimal. And there's no billboard on it. It's pretty much straight up. It says Enhanced F engraved, but it's very subdued. Weight on the Caracal Enhanced F, 26.87 ounces. Weight comparison with the Glock 19 Gen 5, 24.01 ounces. So a couple ounces heavier on the Caracal. Now because of the chassis, I wanted to weigh just the slide of the Caracal first. 15.92 ounces. Glock Model 19, 16.67 ounces. About an ounce difference, which is going to make a difference between the two. So the chassis does add weight to the Caracal, but the slide is definitely lighter, which means you're just going to have less slide mass coming back with that low bore axis. Big thank you to Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo, all made in the USA, one of the biggest suppliers of ammunition in the country. We shoot a lot of Fiocchi, and guys, it's just excellent. Excellent quality. Also, we have a big thank you to Lula Loaders for saving our thumbs. Caracal quick sight version of the Enhanced F. They did have this on one of their original models, but this is just really a surprise to me how quick this is to bring up. Again, I said this in the first review. I wasn't all that excited when I pulled it up. I was like, wow. I mean, and then when I shot it, it's so fast. I mean, when you bring that sight up, you're immediately on the same focal plane. You're not looking at the rear sight compared to a long front sight at the end. And you know, that sight radius does help with accuracy. But for up close, it makes it really nice. Then when I bring it up just for a double tap, it's right in line. The sight is naturally right there where the rear sight is. So you're not fishing around for it. And just for regular shooting, now one thing we have noticed, not with the first review,
when we took this out to the range and shot quite a few rounds is it's not really holding the slide back every time. On the Enhanced F with the standard sights, we didn't have any problems. But overall, this is just a great little handgun. I love that quick sight. If you ever get to a local gun shop and they have one, check out those sights. I think you're going to be pretty impressed. I'm going to do a little experiment, and we're going to bring this up from ready, low ready, pull it up, take a couple of shots, just to see how fast we can get the acquisition of the sights compared to the quick sight. And again, we're going to start out with the standard model. Like basic normal sights. Now we're going to try it with the quick sight model. I will say that acquiring this sight on the quick sight, because it's so far up, I'm not looking at the back of my slide, I'm looking out to get it with that front sight, and it's definitely quicker.
Now let's disassemble the Enhanced F. We're going to drop our magazine, check the chamber, point the gun in a safe direction, and pull the trigger. Pull back on your slide and pull down on your takedown tabs and just push that slide forward. Recoil spring and guide rod, flat recoil springs, and then we have our barrel. Here is where I love this difference. This is a beautiful stainless steel chassis. And what I love about that is I can put different grip modules on here. The chassis itself is considered the gun, the firearm. It is serialized. One thing though I love about it is that it has rails all the way down, which is going to give you better slide to frame fit. It's complete on the other side. So there's more contact with the rails on the slide than there is, especially most polymer frame pistols, which have small little sections. Now that works, it's fine, but this does give it a smoother feeling action when you're shooting. But this is very well done. And this is removable. We're not going to take it out, but you have two pins and you can just pull this out. Slide, definitely your striker safety right here, and then we have our striker, but the inside, very well done, and we've shot this quite a bit. Now for disassembly, we're going to throw in our barrel, bring our recoil spring and guide rod, place it. Make sure you line it up, bring it over the slide rails, test for function, and we're back in business. Okay, the retail price for the Caracal Enhanced F, both quick sight and standard models, is $549. Typically, you can go to local gun shops and find it for a better price. What are some pros and cons? I love the low bore axis. I love the chassis system. One ding I'm going to give it, and I'm sure this will come, is there's no optics ready versions. And obviously with this kind of sight, that's going to make it a whole different animal. But that I'm sure will be coming. We do have accessory rails. It's easy to disassemble. The grip, while it's nicely textured, it's not very aggressive. Some may find that to be not quite as aggressive as they like. The 18+1 magazines, and again you get two. Trigger pull is okay. It's not great. It's a little bit spongy at the beginning, but it has a nice crisp break, and it's around 4.5 pounds. Slide has a really nice finish, but the big thing for me is that low bore axis. Now, as far as the quick sight, my thoughts on that are this is a very effective sight system. Caracal says it's immediately accurate, fast sight picture, and that's really what I would describe. It is really quick, guys. You bring it up, you see it, it's in focus, and right there's that white dot. I really like that. But the one thing is, again, is that you're gonna have to suffer some for longer range shots. It'll do it, but it's gonna take you a little more time. So real fast on the close, going out to distance, you're gonna have to be a little more precise, And that's where just the standard model comes in and shines. So it's really like these are two separate guns in a sense because of their sighting system. Is this a novelty? Maybe so. But this is, a lot of people have really touted this as to be a great sight system. Would they use it or would you use it? That's for you to decide. And you've got two different options. But regardless, this is super fast. So guys, if you want to really experience something that is super fast to acquire a target, this is an excellent choice. Then, if you just want something that's traditional, that has the standard sights, they have the original Enhanced F. So it gives you a couple of different choices. But I'm going to tell you guys, if you ever get a chance, this is one that you'll want to take out and at least pick up at your local gun shop to take a look at the sights. I think it's going to surprise you. Is this the end all? Will all handguns go to this? I doubt it. But it's definitely a very unique system, and guys, I'm telling you, it's super fast to acquire. And again, a big thank you to Caracal for sending the Enhanced F, both their standard model and their quick sight model. This has been a great experience. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America, long live the Republic. But here's the thing, if you think about, oh, we didn't check the freaking chamber. Oh, getting ready to do something, It's 0. What the crap. It is super fast to find. Like that.
That's all, folks.